Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. We've already done wind care forecast, which you can find on the homepage. This is the El Nino update for November. So we've got this huge El Nino event going on. If it isn't a record breaker, if it doesn't quite break the record, it's certainly going to be up there with the strongest El Ninos ever recorded. It's a monster event, so we'll have a look at how things have progressed with this El Nino event over the past month since did the update in October, but it has strengthened further, and as I say, this is a really big El Nino event now, and it will have a major impact when we do the winter forecast on Tuesday. I'm going to be releasing the GazService.com winter 2015-2016 forecast here on the website on Tuesday, and this El Nino event will be the major driver of this winter forecast. It will be the major background signal, if you like, despite everything else that's going on. You can't emphasise enough, really, the influence of this very strong, perhaps record-breaking El Nino event. So we'll have a look at all the details and see how things have progressed in a second, and we'll also, of course, start to look at what's going to happen after El Nino, because this event is going to peak around Christmas. It'll be at its strongest around Christmas, so not long to go now before it actually starts to decay a bit as we get through the start of next year. And where we go after El Nino is probably going to be increasingly the storyline over the next few months, seeing whether we shift from a warm event to a cold event or quite what happens. So have a look at all the detail on that in a second, but before we get on that, just say about the ads, there's links to articles on all pages of GazService, tap a browse widgets, click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the page, open out content when you watch them close by coming in, it's all have to pay website. And this Christmas shop is open, so if you've got any Christmas shop to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, please click through the Amazon banners in the Christmas shop, and you'll be able to go off and do Christmas shopping at Amazon. And because you're going from GazService to Amazon, we get a review fee on things that you are purchasing, and thanks very much for doing that. So let's get on with November's El Nino update, and we'll start off by having a look at this chart, which is the cold and warm episodes by season chart from NOAA, from NOAA in the United States, and the Climate Prediction Centre. Now, we've got another red number in a box, so you remember that through the past few updates with this, we've been watching as these red numbers begin to appear. So this is 2015 just here. These red numbers gradually increasing through these boxes is the El Nino event. We reached that threshold there back in the summer. These are tri-monthly periods. So this latest tri-monthly period is for, I think it's for the period August, September and October. Haven't got November's number yet. We'll get that at the start of next month. But another number has appeared. So it's this one just here, 1.7. And again, this is a very strong El Nino event. So we can go back through all the past cold and warm events for La Ninas and El Ninos all the way back to 1950. The last time that we was this warm in the ENSO region at this point, this tri-monthly point in the year, was back in 1997, just here. And that one, for this tri-monthly period, August, September, October, came out at 2.0. So again, it's the same idea that's happened all the way along with this, that we're just a little bit under the 97-98 event. 1.7 is for this year, and at this point in 1997 was at 2.0. So we're not far at all from the 97-98 event, but just a little bit cooler. However, that was for the tri-monthly period, as I say, of August, September, October. The latest information is that we have overtook 1997 in terms of the central part of the Equatorial Pacific. Anyway, so let's have a look at the anomalies, and here we go with the sea surface temperature anomalies anomaly map from October. So this made up, this was chart that we used and made up the last update. Of course, the El Nino seal is this massive warm water here from Peru over into the central part of the Equatorial Pacific. This massive warm water quite clearly is the signature of El Nino. So that's how it looked back in October. Just look how it's strengthened in the past month. So this is the latest signal, and quite clearly the anomalies have increased big time actually over the past month. Again, going back to last month, there we are, going back to the latest chart generated on the 26th of November, and clearly there's been a big strengthening. It's already a strong event, but there's been an even further strengthening of this El Nino event, particularly through this central part of the Equatorial Pacific. So this is a huge event. The temperature scale is on the bottom of the chart, and we're sort of up to 4 or 5 degrees above average through this central part of the Equatorial Pacific. Now that is a major El Nino event. It's up there with 97, 98. It could even have gone past 97, 98 in terms of this central part of the Equatorial Pacific anyway. But this is a huge, huge El Nino event. Now this is from November 1997, and you can see that, again, the signature was very similar to what we've got now. Here's the El Nino event of 97, 98, and I say this is November 1997. Remember, this is an older chart, so the resolution of the chart is a bit different, not as big or as detailed. But you can see the basic suggestion is very much that this El Nino event is a really strong event here through the equatorial part of the Pacific. But the latest chart, it's on a par with it, and it's a little bit more central based. See, El Nino of 1997 was more centred to the eastern side in this sort of zone, whereas the latest chart shows that El Nino is centred particularly through the central part, 3.4 of the Equatorial Pacific. But it is still warm in 1 and 2 over here towards Peru anyway. But this is a big El Nino event. That's the point I'm trying to get across. It's a mega event. It's a super Nino, however you want to call it. It's a major event, and it's going to be a major player for this winter. So this is from website tropicaldidbits.com, just telling us how warm it is through that central part of the Equatorial Pacific. So this is for the anomaly chart for 3.4, which is the central Equatorial Pacific. And we can see with the temperature scale on the side and the dates on the bottom, but we're around 3 Celsius above average here through that central part of the Equatorial Pacific. If we have a look at the Eastern Pacific, 1 and 2, we can see that we're cooler. We're very warm. I mean, we're at 2 degrees above average near the Peruvian coast. But we're not as warm as we are in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific. So this is becoming a little bit central based. And of course, I'll be discussing this much more in the winter forecast, because it does have a bit of an impact on the winter forecast. But that's the big picture anyway, in terms of where we are with El Nino. It's strengthened further over the past month. It is a mega event now. It's a super Nino. It's warmer in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific than it is in the eastern Equatorial Pacific, and we're probably more or less at the peak with this now. I doubt it will see much more in the way of strengthening of this event. It may continue to strengthen a little bit through the early part of December, but it should really be at its peak any time now through to Christmas, and then the start of next year, January, February, March, should see it declining away. So where do we go after that? Well, let's have a look at some forecasts finally, and we're going to start off with CFS V2, which is the it's modeled from NOAA, from NOAA, and this is where we currently are, of course, with this El Nino event. We're up here, so around 3 Celsius above average, super Nino territory. This is for 3.4, by the way, the central part of the Equatorial Pacific. You can see that it's pretty much down now. It's downhill all the way, really. Got dates on the bottom, the anomalies on the side. So by the time we get through to January, which is just here, it's forecasting us to be around here. So dropped around half a degree, something like that, to around 2.5 Celsius. That's what it's predicting by the end of the year. That may be a little bit too much, actually. It may not be all that far from where we are now in January, but it certainly shouldn't strengthen much more from where we are now. Let's get through to April. we see that model is going for quite a big drop in temperature by then. We've lost around a degree Celsius from January through to April, gone down to around 1.5 Celsius above average. By the time we go through to July, you can see that we're almost back to neutral, actually, in July. So by the time we get through to summer, this El Nino should have unravelled, and we should, at the very least, be back to neutral ENSO conditions. Now, do we stay at neutral, or do we go to a cold event? Do we go to La Nina? Not spoken much about La Nina in these updates. I will speak about this a little bit more as we get through sort of next year, of course. But you can see that many members of this ensemble are going down into La Nina territory, going down to around -1 Celsius by the time we get through into the middle and latter part of next summer. That's a huge time away, but I would suspect we probably are going to have a cold event, and the reason I say that is basically that this El Nino is a 2-year event. So although it was only a very weak one and really didn't reach the threshold, never really designated, but we did have a very, very weak El Nino last winter. Of course, we've got this Super Nino going on for this winter, so this has gone on for quite a long time now, these warm anomalies in the Pacific Ocean. And you have to think there must be a lot of cold water at depth, because the warmth has risen up to the top. Those warm temperature anomalies have risen up to the top, forced the cold down to a depth. But, I think there's got to be a lot of cold down there now in the ocean. And I would suspect that as this El Nino unravels, we will see these cold anomalies pushing up to the top. So I've got a feeling we'll probably go into La Nina next year. One little indication of that already could be these cold anomalies that we see starting to gather a little bit around Chile. That's often one of the first things that I look out for. See whether we're going to get a La Nina after an El Nino. Now, this isn't particularly significant yet, but if these waters here around the Chilean coast start to really turn cold over the next 2 or 3 months and start to push out here to around this sort of area, if we start to see that area going particularly cold over the next 2 or 3 months, I think that will be our precursor to La Nina. So that's something to look out for with these maps as we run through the next few months. ECWF forecast is very similar to CFS V2, so this is the peak of the El Nino event up here, of course. Again, we've got the dates on the bottom of the charts for temperature anomalies on the side. So once again, around 3 Celsius above average at the peak of this El Nino event. It is a Super Nino. Going through to next year, though, you can see there's quite a dramatic drop-off. Very few members of the ensemble go down to La Nina by next summer. A few do, but they're outliers. But we are seeing an unravelling through the spring and into the start of the summer of the El Nino event, going back towards neutral by the time we get into the end of the spring and the start of summer. That is quite a big temperature drop from January up here to April here. I think we're losing around 2 Celsius in those 3 or 4 months. So that is a big drop, but it isn't yet down to La Nina territory. Finally, Jams Tech IOD looks like this. This is the 2-year ENSO forecast. So this takes us to 2017, quite interestingly. Again, this is the peak of the El Nino event, just here, around 3 Celsius above average. Dates on the bottom, anomalies on the side. So by January 2016, we're already beginning to drop a little bit. We're going down to around 2 Celsius above average, so still a big El Nino event even into January. But beyond that, you see that the trend line, which is this red line, is going down. So by the time we get through to July, that's July just there, we're back to neutral. So CFS V2 and Jamstech and ECM are all in line here with this. By summer, we're back to neutral. And then as we go into the start of, into the second half of 2016, into the start of 2017, this is January 2017, just here, look at this, the trend line is going down. So the Jamstech is seeing La Nina going into minus numbers as we get through into the start of 2017. So unraveling of the El Nino through the spring, back to neutral by summer, And then as we go through into late summer, autumn, we move to La Nina. By the time we get through to winter 2016, 2017, put your teeth in, Gav, we find that we are in a La Nina event. It's not a particularly strong event. We've got to watch out for how strong it gets, because I would assume it could be quite a big one. After a big El Nino, you tend to get a big cold event, so we'll have to watch out for that. But the definite signal from Jamstech, as you can see with this red trend line, is down all the way, really, from now. And this is how the anomalies play out, finally. So this is the sea surface temperature anomaly from the Jamstech IOD for the winter. There's the massive red water just there. That is the El Nino event. Look what happens by the time you get through to summer. There we go. The El Nino has more or less gone. And we've even got a little bit of blue beginning to appear. Just the first little hints of a cold event. So, well, the El Nino is a mega event, of course. I can't emphasize enough how strong this El Nino is. It's a super Nino. It will impact North America this winter. It will impact us this winter. For more on that, wait for the winter 2015-2016 forecast on Tuesday. But as we go through to start of next year, we should see this El Nino backing off. It'll start to unravel and collapse by summer. Got to start thinking a little bit about La Nina, and that will very much be where we go with these updates. As we get into next year, we will increasingly be looking for signs of a cold event. And of course, that means that next winter, 2016-2017, we are in La Nina. It'll be a very, 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 very different winter to this one. Okay, that's all for now. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at the seasonal models one last time. We'll include Jamstech. We'll be doing it one last time tomorrow for the winter, just ahead of that winter forecast on Tuesday. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.